Welcome to Matchday Live, Matchday 2 in Group G. City are playing Borussia Dortmund at the Etihad, and we can bring you the starting 11 right now. Manchester City's starting 11 is Ederson, Stones, Akanji making his home debut for Man City, Nathan Ake, Joao Cancelo, Rodri, De Bruyne, Gundogan, Mahrez, Haaland and Grealish. We can see the players coming in now, and that man Erling Haaland will be facing against his previous team. He scored 25 goals in 20 UEFA Champions League appearances, which is the most by any player in the first 20 games in the competition. He's also facing against his old club after his first match day one. He scored twice at Sevilla. We've won our last 8 home games against German sides in the Champions League. My name is FG, and I have had the pleasure of being joined in the studio by the GOAT, Shaun. Goater. Shaun, we've seen the team. What are your expectations for match day 2 of Group G today?
Well, yeah, I'm looking for another exciting game. I think the team to continue on as we have done in terms of performing well. Really excited to look forward to Haaland in terms of playing against his old team. When I think back to times when I played against my previous teams, there are some nerves there. You want to perform well. Some teammates you play against know your game a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see how he sort of copes with that. I imagine, you know, he'll have very little nerves, but he'll also perform well. So really interested to see how he plays against his team.
He has been absolutely brilliant for us, and he's started really, really well. Do you think this could be one of his biggest tests so far, just because he's playing against people he knows so well?
I think so. I think so. I think because, again, they would know parts of his game. They'll know how dynamic he is in terms of balls in behind, when balls are coming into the box, how aggressive he is to attack, you know, balls or situations like that. They would know him. So, and also he'd want to perform well because you're playing against your old team, his old team. So I think it'll be really interesting to see how he performs. I imagine he'll pass it with flying colours again because he's just been in unbelievable form.
He has been, and so have Manchester City, actually, in the Champions League at home. We're unbeaten in our last 20. We've won 18 and we've drawn 2. That's the longest run unbeaten by an English side in the competition since Chelsea, who were unbeaten between September 2006 and December 2009. We've got to be really confident tonight, Shaun.
Yeah, we've got to be confident in Pep we trust, and the reason we have that record is largely down to Pep Guardiola in terms of his knowledge, his information, how he approaches games, how he knows the weaknesses of the opposition. And he would have looked at Dortmund. I think the last couple of times we've played them recently, we've beaten them 2-1. So he knows it'll be a tough one, a difficult one, but Pep will always have something up his sleeve.
And let's bring you confirmation of the Manchester City starting 11 for today's game in Group G against Dortmund. We have Ederson, Cancelo, Stones, Akanji, Ake, Rodri, Gundogan, De Bruyne, Mahrez, Haaland and Grealish. Substitutes are Ortega, Wilson Esbrand, Lewis, Carson, Diaz, Calvin Phillips, good to see him back fit again, Alvarez, Silva. We have Sergi Gomez, Phil Foden and Cole Palmer. We're looking at that back four there, Shaun. We've been talking about it off air a little bit. Is it going to be John Stones playing up right back? Is it going to be Nathan Ake? Are we going to attack with a back three? What are your expectations?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the great thing about City. We often sit and have these sort of debates when you see what the team is and you're thinking, well, how are we going to line up? And that's the flexibility that Pep has, or the players are adaptable. I think, and we were talking off air and thinking that Stones will be the one that'll play in that right back role. Akanji alongside Ake as centre halves, and Cancelo, we know, can play a superb job, whether it's right back or left back. So, yeah, I think it'd be interesting because, again, these players will, you know, the relationship is important when you're talking about a back four and when we squeeze up, and we'd like to keep the pitch small and tight. But, you know, all these players have all performed well. So I expect another sort of really good performance from them all.
One man who looks like he's been playing for Manchester City for so long is making his home debut tonight. It's former Borussia Dortmund player Manuel Akanji. How well did he fit in at Sevilla, in the Sevilla game in match day 1? And how well do you think he's going to do in the Sky Blue?
Well, I think that's evidence for us. I mean, he's a player.
We can see him behind him, smiles, meeting his old teammates as Gio Reyna there,
Yes.
which we'll come to and speak about a little bit later. A little bit of Manchester City legacy in the Reyna family, which we will come to for you guys. He seems really happy, I imagine, really good relationship with his teammates.
Yes, listen, he deserves smiles, but at the same time, he'll want to win. He'll be in there as much as saying to the boys, listen, today we've got to be at it. You know, he'd want to be winning this game. Good players want to play with great players. He's a good player, and he'll soon be a great player. He just fitted in as though he's been in City for ages, and that's a sign of a really good player, and just fitting right in with everyone else. So look forward. When I've seen him play for his national team, he's solid, he's aggressive, he's quick. So he has the physical presence. He has a lot of qualities about him. So which is brilliant in terms of another quality centre half. So as we know, Pep likes to rotate, and because we like to go for all 4 trophies, I think it's another quality player coming into it.
And I think maybe perhaps that could be Pep's thinking today. You know, he knows Dortmund really well. He knows what to expect, a bit of experience, probably training against them daily. How much does that matter when you play against your old team, Shaun, when you know the players that you're playing against? And
well, it's a lot, because he would know perhaps the centre forwards and how they play, the wide players. The interesting thing is, because Pep is so knowledgeable about the game and about opposition, the interesting thing is, would Pep have pulled him for a conversation or word to say, well, you know, how does he play, or this player in this position, what about him? Pep is so knowledgeable about the opposition. You know, I doubt if he'd pulled him and said, you know, just some thoughts about this particular player. Does he tend to do this or this? It'd be interesting to know, be a fly on the wall, whether he's had that conversation. But Pep seems to know the solutions to every team that we play.
well, this is actually Pep Guardiola's 150th Champions League game in charge, and he has a phenomenal record. He's won 94 of his 149 games so far. I'll give you an opportunity to try and guess. There's 2 managers who have got a slightly better record in the competition. I mean, he's in great company, and one of them is, of course, Sir Alex Ferguson.
Yes, Sir Alex Ferguson. I mean, I believe Sir Alex Ferguson is something like 102 wins in 190.
This is why he's in the studio, because that is spot on, Shaun. That is absolutely incredible.
To put it in context, that shows you how brilliant Pep Guardiola has been, his team has been. 94 wins in 149 games. You know, if we go all the way through to the finals, and he could potentially be very near to Sir Alex Ferguson in 56 games or 57 games or somewhere around there. It's absolutely phenomenal.
It is an absolutely incredible record. Carlo Ancelotti has also got 99 out of 179. So Ancelotti's numbers don't include a 3-0 awarded win against Inter in 2005. But Pep Guardiola is a breath of fresh air. He knows the Champions League, and I'm pretty certain we'd be so desperate to try and to get over that Champions League hoodoo. And with the additions we've had a really, really strong summer. How much are you expecting from the front line? We've spoken about Haaland a lot. What about Riyad Mahrez? He loves playing in the Champions League.
Yes, I mean, listen, we've got a phenomenal team. These front players, Mahrez, his quality on the ball, his ability to play at his own pace. We look at him, and he's not a dynamic player, but he is dynamic. It may sound like, what are you saying? He can move, he can shift his body to go right, but come back left, and players fall for it. But he's not as quick and agile as somebody else on the eye. And this is why he's able to sort of get that half a yard, produce quality crosses, why he's able to beat players. Looking really forward to him. Grealish back into things. I'm looking forward to Grealish, receiving the ball and driving in, asking questions. And I know those two have got a little bromance going on, him and Haaland. I think Grealish is like, I'm on the pitch, I'm setting up my mate. So I look forward to him combining with him, sliding balls down his side, feeding him into the box, and servicing him as well.
I think every City fan watching Manchester City, especially you guys watching right now, we all want Jack Grealish to do well, but it's not so much about his goals and assists in our side. It's very much about what he brings to us when we have possession of the ball. He seems to be able to control the tempo really well and keep possession when we most need it.
Yeah, and it's vitally important, because certainly what happens with City is sometimes when the ball was over with Grealish, the point of that is so that we can create the opportunity in the attack, start Mahrez's side. And Grealish is really good at sucking 3 and 4 players over, because how he drives at a team, well, how he starts to go slowly at a defender, then that makes the covering defensive midfielder come across. The center back starts to get attracted. And when he turns out and sort of shifts that ball and it moves across the other side, that means Mahrez has got a one-on-one. And Mahrez, if all day I fancy him for one-on-ones, because he just has the moves and he beats, and we have to get a little one-on-one session with him, because he's absolutely brilliant on one-on-ones to get the yard, deliver crosses, sliding passes for Gundogan or Kevin De Bruyne running to the byline, or just delivering passes. Really looking forward to tonight.
I am as well. And let's talk quickly about match day 1 when we went away to Sevilla. That man again, Erling Haaland scoring. But what about, we can see the goals on the screen, what about this man, Kevin De Bruyne? It's almost as if they've been playing for years together, and this, you can't teach that as a striker, Shaun.
Well, you can't. You really can't. I think he scores a lot of goals that you have to, you feel it. You feel where the ball is going to be delivered. You know where defenders are. And he has this sense. He knows when that ball's being knocked to the byline there and De Bruyne is on it, he's that half a second moving. And this is why he's able to get, if he's a half a second behind, he doesn't reach that. But he's also ahead. He sees it building up here. He's making a double run here. I mean, he's just, this may look like not a chance. Sorry, that was actually Phil.
Yeah, that's Phil Foden.
But he feels and sniffs out situations. I think it was one of the opportunities where the keeper parried it. But that's a feeling that you get as a centre forward.
You can see his movement, Shaun, as well. He's always looking for that extra yard, even in positions. That's a fantastic finish by Phil
Foden, yes.
But even Erling's movement in this position, you see one step to the left, one step to the right. He's always looking for that chance.
He is, and I can't miss this, because Foden is purposely shot that through the player's legs, and this is a skill. These guys are at a level, if they feel that the player's going to get a blocky in, it's just a muscle memory to know that the player's legs will be open and they could also shoot, and that through the legs, and that's what he's done. So these guys are just on another level. You're thinking, I've got the defender's thinking, he's got the block on, Foden's thinking, you've left your legs open, your keeper's blinded, I'm squeezing it into their post. But you're right, Haaland is always moving. And no matter who you put in against him, he would always find that half a yard or yard, because he can feel and he can sense these opportunities.
I think one man who's slightly, unbelievably going under the radar in this conversation is our absolute midfield maestro, Kevin De Bruyne. How important is he to the relationship with, well, also with setting up Haaland, but also creating the space, creating the moves, etc.?
He understands, you know, arriving in spaces at the right time. How many times we see him sort of just arrive at his timing of runs to arrive, making that run towards the byline or getting to these pockets in between the fullback, centre back, but just in a position to receive it and being that half space to deliver crosses. And these are the positions that Haaland will come to life, because he knows De Bruyne's delivery. He doesn't have to make a run across defender. He could be on the blind side and the ball was still reaching, because Kevin De Bruyne's quality is just so high.
We just look at our side and there is just literally quality all throughout. I want to talk about Joao Cancelo really quickly as we see the highlights from the Sevilla. And this was Ruben Diaz actually getting on the score sheet like a striker, Shaun.
Yes, and you know, I remember looking back and I was like, he actually stayed up in that situation. And you know, this is how City play. If you're required to be there, then be there. Whether you're centre half, you know, some teams, centre half may be up there and they think, no, I need to get back. But he's no, I'm in the right position. I need to stay here. I'm part of the attack. Stay here. And this is him getting on the end of it. I think it's absolutely brilliant football.
And we can see the boss. Look how happy he is, and it's just lovely to see. Like you said, every player can play in every position, and that is the frightening part. Now, we do want to speak to you guys real quick about WhatsApp. We are in the studio. It's FG and SG today in the studio, which we said, please, the WhatsApp number is on the screen. Please send us your messages, any questions you have for us. We will definitely answer them, and make sure to download the Man City app for access to City Plus and exclusive live commentary. free. Shaun, back to the game tonight, everything. Match day at the Etihad in the Champions League. We've had some really, really special nights in the Champions League. I just want to ask you, when a team is unbeaten in 20 Champions League games, and you have 18 wins and 2 draws, and statistically we're good in the group stages, how much, I mean, we obviously know what Pep's like, but how much does that play into your mind, or if any at all?
Well, the players will know, they'll have belief, they'll know, trust in themselves. But the one thing that, you know, the manager will say is we need to get out there and start well, because you're playing against a good team. So they'll believe in themselves, trust, but they'll just know, listen, you know, we're unbeaten because we're quality. And they just keep setting these standards for each other. They look around the dressing room and they say, don't let me down today. Give me that same level. You know, you're giving me that 9, give me that 10 performance. And if I'm sitting in that dressing room, I'm looking at him going, well, it's Kevin De Bruyne. He produces 9 and 10 in a game. It was Gundogan. Well, he's producing 8, 9 and 10 in games. And so the level is just high. And I think they also, you know, push each other and want to deliver those great performances.
And let's talk about our visitors now. We have actually got the team news for Dortmund as we see the arrivals. Apologies in advance for any mispronunciation, but the Dortmund lineup is Maya Munier, Hummels, Sule Guerrera, Saleh Oxan, Emre Can, Jude Bellingham, Reina, and the captain Marco Reus and Modeste today. Let's really quickly speak about Jude Bellingham. 19 years of age. He scored 3 Champions League goals for Dortmund, and this is the joint most of any English teenager in the competition. He's level with Wayne Rooney, Theo Walcott, Jadon Sancho, and our very own Phil Foden. He has been absolutely exceptional. I still can't believe he's 19 years of age, Shaun.
Well, and you've absolutely hit it on the nail. He's 19, so you know he's still got a couple goals that he will score. Hopefully he's not scoring any of those tonight, but he's somebody I've been really impressed with. He's beyond his years in terms of experience, how he's able to cover both boxes in terms of get up and get back, intelligent player. Really look forward to seeing him because, again, he's certainly one that we're seeing pushing in terms of for the England squad, and so they have to shuffle that up with all the quality that they have. But he's an absolute quality player. So, but the one thing, over the years of watching Pep Guardiola and his teams, you know, when we've played against Barcelona and a Messi or Barcelona and they've had, you know, a Neymar or a Messi and Neymar, we play as a team, and he's never adjusted the game for an individual. It's us as a collective. And his teams have always dominated possession, and I'm sure they'll see where he'll look to do it again this evening.
Borussia Dortmund, unbelievably, this is a mental stat. I couldn't believe it when I read it. They're looking for their first away win against an English side since 2013 when they won 2-1 at Arsenal. Back to that old adage about stats and so forth.
Yeah.
Will that play on anyone's mind? They have a lot of experienced players. You know, Royce has been there for a long time. Will that play on their mind in terms of...
It will, and it will in the fact that it can be a positive from the point of, you know, Royce, I think they've played 17 games. I think it's 10 they've lost, 7 they've won. So they either win or lose. And so Royce will be in there gearing up and saying, listen, not today. We don't lose this today. You know, come on, let's go and deliver like, and perhaps, you know, mention a big game they played in and they played well. So they can sort of use that psychologically to build and be more positive about. But there is, you know, players will naturally think, yeah, we haven't. So I tended to be a player to look at it from a positive. At some point, this record has to start turning around. And I would think that these guys will be somewhat like that, very similar to want to turn it around and be a positive.
Absolute elite mentality from the goal. And we can see Jude Bellingham on the screen right now. And last time out, it was a 3-0 win at Copenhagen for Dortmund. And Bellingham, that man, actually did get on the score sheet, along with Royce and Guerrero. He just has a sort of a Haaland vibe about him. He sort of has a cool, calm, collected... You forget how young he is because he's achieved so much already in the game. He'll be relishing a game like this.
Well, you see his body language. He's waving, you know, to fans, and he knows the cameras are on him. It just just shows you the confidence of him, that he's like, you know, this stage, I like this, I'm loving this, I want more of this, I want to show. You know, he knows that he's playing in front of the world's best manager. He wants to, because that's what you do. You know you're playing up against a great team. He'll be wanting to show the world, show Pep Guardiola, I'm a quality player.
And that's it. Well, show Pep Guardiola potentially, but also definitely the world, which they have done. They've won their first group game comfortably as well. That obviously helps them because the pressure potentially is loosened with the fact they've got 3 points like us, and it's sort of a win-win situation for them, sort of. I mean, it's difficult to come away to the edge end in the Champions League. Well,
it is. I mean, they do find it tough to play against English teams, and, you know, they'll be trying their best, but at the same time, I just think we'll be too much for them. But they are a team, you know, when they get it right, they get it right. They're very good at how they counterattack. Sometimes in the fullbacks will go high, the left winger will come inside, and when they break, you see 4 and 5 and 6 yellow shirts going into the box. So they really ask questions of you as a team, and if you're not organised to stop that early on, then all you see is these yellow shirts.
I mean, earlier on, we actually had the pleasure of catching up with ESPN and FIFA commentator Derek Ray, and he has given us his expertise on the Bundesliga and also the lowdown on Haaland, Akanji and Gundogan's time with Borussia Dortmund.
We'll start with Erling Haaland. If you can you sum up his time in Germany?
Erling Haaland's time in Germany, explosive. And, you know, I remember just straight away looking at him, and obviously I'd watched videos of him before from his time in Salzburg, but looking at him wearing the yellow shirt of Dortmund and thinking, this guy is going to be an absolute star and they're going to love him. And, yeah, I mean, he didn't really miss a beat. The only thing was that he was out injured a bit more often than maybe people would have liked, no fault of his own. But when he was on the pitch, Dortmund had a tendency to be a bit overly reliant on Haaland, to often sort of say, OK, we're not playing well today, we'll just rely on Erling to do his thing. And, you know, the number of times you would see him score different goals, and I think he got better in that area as time went on. You know, it's funny when you look at him, you sort of think, well, this guy would be a great header of the ball. And he wasn't initially. That was kind of a weakness in his game. So something that they really had to work on. And they did, to be fair. They did work on that, you know, and right-footed goals as well, something to be worked on. But the number of times he would score, you know, a defence stepping up and being a bit too high in terms of its line, and then a little chip ball over the top, and you would know what was going to happen next. Erling Haaland would race away from everybody and tuck it home. Manuel Akanji, I actually thought last season was possibly Dortmund's best defender. Now, that's maybe damning somebody with faint praise because they weren't great defensively, but I thought that Akanji was the one who often held them together. It's been this sort of ongoing saga for a while. We've all known that Manuel Akanji would leave Borussia Dortmund. We didn't know until recently where he'd be heading to, but it is obviously Manchester City. And the one thing about him is he has pace as defenders go. So he has recovery speed, which is really important. I think especially for a team like City, who are not giving up a lot of chances to the opposition, but then out of the blue, one might come along, and it could depend upon a defender who can read the game, but also who has pace to be able to solve that problem. So I think that will be a big plus for City going forward. I think as well, good in the air. You know, he's a Swiss international who understands the game very well.
He seems very comfortable with the ball at his feet. Was that something that you picked up on when he was playing in Dortmund?
Yes, you would say he is somebody who can bring the ball out from the back. Not necessarily the one player who would always bring the ball out from the back, but yeah, no, certainly that is a strength of Akanji, and somebody who I think was always going to go on to a big club somewhere in England. I think that has been an ambition of his for a while. And so I think as a player for Manchester City, yeah, I would see nothing but good things. İlkay Gündoğan, greatly respected and just a fabulous player to watch, and somebody who could take charge of any game with his passing, with his overall game nous, I would sort of put it that way. And yeah, I know he hasn't forgotten his time at the club and his time, of course, in Germany, full stop. when Gundogan is playing and I'm not commentating, I just watch him for 3 or 4 minutes. And I just watch what he's doing and his movement and his passing and that left foot and his combinations. And I sort of think to myself, yeah, if only things in life came as easily to the rest of us as things in football come to Ilkay Gundogan.
That is so good to hear from a FIFA commentator, Derek Ray. Some absolutely amazing points there. Now, I have to start with what he said about Akanji. He said it's Dortmund's best defender last season, and there was always a feeling that he was going to move to a top club. We've sort of seen that mentality in the first game, Shaun.
Yes.
Good heading ability, pacey, and can pass out of the back, and I think that's the most important thing in our team.
Listen, our City's recruiting team, they got eyes. They see what a quality player he has been, and he's now at City, and he's just settled right in. Again, he's got all the qualities that you need in terms of being a centre back for City. He's calm on the ball, able to step forward, because a lot of City's play starts at the back, and recognising his space when it comes across. Can he step in, commit a player, and then it builds from there. And he's very comfortable on the ball. And if those passes, someone else has misplaced a pass, he has that recovery pace. He has that, that lightning pace that you go, okay, if you're beating him, you got to have some really decent pace. But he's also an intelligent player. He's an intelligent player, and he just seems to have, slipped right in, fitted in really well. And I'm just sitting there thinking, I know there's a ton of information that Pep still hasn't given him, but he seems as though he's been at the club like 3-4 months.
And we can see the boss there on the screen, looking as calm as ever and as fresh as ever. Let's really quickly, we've got a WhatsApp question, actually. We've got a WhatsApp question, actually, and it's from Ben Grossness. And it says, hey, Man City. Hello, Ben. Jack and Riyad are starting and Phil is on the bench. What does that mean on the pace of the game? And he has specifically asked for your opinion on that, Shaun.
Well, yeah, listen, we have quality in whether Phil's playing or Grealish is playing, Mahrez is playing, they're all quality players. I think Grealish is a player that attracts 2 and 3 players, and I think that could be part of the game plan that, one, he's really brilliant at when he drives at a team, that he gets fouled a lot. But also he's able to just pull them across to one side, which then means that Mahrez could get these opportunities. And it doesn't just mean that when the ball switches and goes to Mahrez, that Mahrez has to take him one-on-one. This now opens up space for Gundogan to make runs through, De Bruyne to make these runs through. And we know what happens from those slide passes. All of a sudden, they get flashed across the box. And I think we'll be seeing Haaland, really looking to get on the end of him. So I think some of this is purposeful, but at the same time, it's also about rotation and players playing for certain games.
I think Phil obviously did so well in Matchday 1, but we are so blessed. Yeah. With the players we have. There is so many players in the squad, even some of the subs, and they're brilliant. And let's go and have a look at the starting 11. If you haven't already seen it, I will go through it again for you. The Manchester City starting 11 for Matchday 2 against Borussia Dortmund. In goal is Ederson. We have John Stones, Akanji, Ake, Cancelo, Rodri. We have Kevin De Bruyne, Ilkay Gundogan, Riyad Mahrez, Erling Haaland and Jack Grealish. The substitutes, we have Wilson Esbrand, we have Rico Lewis, we have Ortega, we have Carson, we have Diaz, we have Phillips, Alvarez, Silva, Gomez and Palmer. We've already seen that team, so what we want to do is we want to talk about our special midfielder. Following Sociedad's win at Manchester United, which I know you guys watching would have enjoyed as much as I did, David Silva became the opposing player with the most wins at Old Trafford since 2011. He has won 7. Yep, 7 times at Old Trafford, and we've enjoyed every single moment of it. But he also came past the Etihad on Friday morning to have a look at the CFA and his statue, which honours his time here at City.
Joder, está guay. Me había enseñado la foto, no había visto...
¿Qué gol es este?
Ese es ahí en Old Trafford.
Es el
Sí, el quinto gol, sí.
But it could be worse here still. It's Silva and it's 5-1. Manchester United cut apart on their own ground.
Contento, ¿no? de venir, de saludar a la gente, bueno, de ver también la estatua que tenía ganas. Y bueno, y después de ayer ganar también el partido, pues todo mucho mejor. Bueno, la había visto ya en los vídeos, ¿no? Las fotos, cuando se hacía y luego al acabar, pero viéndola así, la verdad que queda muy guay y es impresionante. Volveré con la familia que no he podido, ¿no? Y mis hijos también, así que volveremos.
Season comes down to these moments now, and in goes Aguero. Oh! Aguero has scored for Manchester City. Sergio Aguero with seconds to go.
Because this is the end of David Silva, one of the greatest players since the inauguration of the Premier League. Almost shy and retiring, doesn't seek the limelight. He does all his talking with his feet.
Company. And look at a hit! Oh! Captain fantastic!
Son generaciones, ¿no? A nosotros nos tocó más bien la primera, un poco de cambiar la situación y tal, y ahora lo están haciendo muy bien. Pep ya sabemos que trabaja increíble y encima los jugadores que están viniendo son jugadores muy buenos, se están adaptando muy bien y bueno, están ganando siempre la Premier o luchando por la Champions, ¿no? que al final es lo que falta para culminar el proyecto que en su momento me dijeron y que se está cumpliendo, ¿no?
Nova headed to the back post. Stones puts it in, and Haaland puts it across the line. It's his hat-trick in just 37 minutes. Back-to-back hat-tricks.
Empezó muy bien. Aparte, Haaland está marcando muchos goles, está muy bien. Y bueno, también eso le va a venir bien al equipo. Que marque goles, aunque en partidos se atasquen. El goleador nato, bueno, lo ha hecho en otro equipo y aquí seguro que va a ser mucho más. Muy bien, ganamos la final de Copa, luego nos hemos metido en Europa los 2 años. Este año estamos empezando bien, pues esperemos acabar la temporada también bien, entrando otra vez en Europa y bueno, en Europa League pues intentar llegar lo más lejos posible, ¿no? Y dar una alegría a la gente otra vez.
Yo creo que no me va a venir. Sí, hombre, yo creo que no me va a venir. Ganas en otra por otra vez. Ganas otra vez. Pero bueno.
¿Estás ahí?
¿Todo bien?
¿Pequeño?
Bien. Ahora nació, tenemos una niña.
Ah, ¿no sabía?
Sí, el domingo pasado.
¡Qué bueno!
Sí, ahora ya.
La parejita.
I absolutely love David Silva, and I'm sure you guys watching at home can appreciate how special a player he was for us. Shaun, let's talk El Mago. Let's just talk David Silva.
Oh, I mean, what a player! He just made it look so easy, and it's just funny listening to that conversation. Pep saying winning again at Old Trafford, but he just made the game look so easy, so simple. You know, I'm thinking back to games when balls used to get wrapped into him, and he would just absolutely kill it.
What a pass!
But he's touched that up in the air and then volleyed that as a through pass, and you know, at the biggest stage that you want. He's absolutely a phenomenal player. He just made it look so easy, but it's his intelligence. He wasn't the biggest player, but he never seemed to get pushed off the ball. He just knew how to find little pockets of space and then do his magic with his vision of passing or drawing players and slipping other players in. He was absolutely a phenomenal player.
So special in Sky Blue, and I'm sure every City fan had a smile on their face, especially after they won at Old Trafford. He actually tagged Man City on Instagram, and everything just came back again. He is literally every City fan's best friend. I absolutely loved watching him. And Shaun, I mean, it sounds absolutely crazy, but how lucky were we to watch him in Sky Blue? Yeah,
we were really lucky, and you know, we have an academy where we're producing players, but to see him come through to see him play for our team season after season, this is where we saw standards being set. Because normally you get with some players that used to be, you know, 2 seasons. This guy was churning out, you know, 7, like just huge numbers, consistency. I don't really remember him ever delivering a performance of a 6. He was always, you know, most times he was 8, 9, 10. And you'd say, yes, there were times when he was a 7, but I don't recall him being a 6. And that is unbelievable standards in terms of his quality. I think the thing I find crazy is the fact he's still not mentioned in the top conversations amongst Premier League midfielders. I think he's absolutely incredible and definitely up there. Well, we're talking to the wrong people, because for me, he needs to be a part of that conversation. You know, it should be, right, here's the list, David Silva, and going from there. Yeah. Because he's just... He just made it look so easy, and he sort of educated a lot of us that you don't have to, you know, to be successful or good as a midfielder. You didn't have to be of a certain height. You know, you looked at him and you just thought, like, he's controlling the game. He's 5'4", 5. I'm not sure what height, but he's just controlling the game, and it's absolutely phenomenal. It shows you his intelligence to know how to use space, how to occupy space, being there at the right time, and then hurt teams when he is and when he's got their time. And he actually has City's assist record, but that's just been equalled in the last game against Sevilla by our man Kevin De Bruyne. Now, we are so lucky to have these players in Sky Blue. They're both on 122 assists in all competitions. We run out of words for this man sometimes. That pass against Stoke is one I'll never, ever forget. It's just genius. Well, I mean, I'm sat here and I didn't see the pass. I mean, De Bruyne sees these. We need to get some wires logged into him and his brain, because he sees things we just don't see. He's won the ball. The defender is right in Sané's stride. As long as he's got the runners and he's got fraction of a second to get his head up, he will hurt you. He would hurt that defence. He would hurt the opposition's defence. I think the scary thing is how easy he makes it look, as we see the pass from early in the season to Bernardo at Newcastle. Again, it's jaw-dropping. It is. I mean, did I just see that go through the player's legs that was 10 yards away? So that player is, I mean, people will say that's luck. But De Bruyne is on such a level that he will see a player that's slightly switched off and see a run and think, well, by the time I get that ball to him, he switched off. I mean, the run, how has he seen it, quite frankly? I don't know. But this is the beauty of him, that he can be on a field and have a fraction of a second of time and see the pass and weigh that pass in absolutely beautifully. It's just mental, like looking at the head-to-head stats of David Silva and Kevin De Bruyne. 309 games for David Silva, 213 for Kevin De Bruyne, 60 goals for David Silva, 58 for Kevin De Bruyne. Yeah. And then if we look at the player they've assisted most, I will give you one guess, but he played in the same position as you, and we all know who it is. Sergio. Yeah. Well, yes. For a minute, I was thinking in terms of De Bruyne, in terms of he's more attacking than David Silva, so which is why his numbers are really high. But yeah, Sergio. I mean, That's you of him.
We don't need any words. As we see the Dortmund team going out for the warm-up, we don't need any words. But one thing we will say is every single City fan just wants to say thank you for David Silva for continuing his legacy. And it's great to see him doing so well at Sociedad as well.
Yes, I mean, he looks like he could play another 5 years. I mean, again, it's the intelligence of him, which is why he looks like he's got time. Because it's his intelligence. He's just on another level, and it's really good to see him still playing at the highest level. And looking at him truthfully, I'm thinking he's still got 2-3 seasons in him.
He did absolutely play phenomenal. If you didn't watch that game, you should definitely go and watch him win again for the 7th time at Old Trafford. Now, let's go and speak to Derek Ray, but this time let's go and get his thoughts on tonight's opponents.
It's funny to actually try to encapsulate Dortmund's start to the season in one sentence. I wrote a column recently for ESPN about the start to the season when they'd been getting results but not playing all that well. And I was a little bit critical of them, maybe more so than some people have been. And the reason why I was critical was I felt that in some of those early games, they'd been a bit lucky. You know, some had argued, okay, they're managing their way to victory. That deserves plaudits, because previously with Dortmund, they were a bit flaky. You know, at times you would have said, yeah, they can outpower the opposition or outplay the opposition, certainly outdazzle the opposition, let's put it that way, but with defensive holes. You know, you think back to last season, some of the defensive holes against Rangers, for example, in the Europa League when they were dumped out of the competition, against St. Pauli in the B-Pokal, the German national knockout cup competition, against Leverkusen at home, against Leipzig at home. So Marco Rose, moving on, is now the Leipzig coach. We might get to that a bit later because they beat Dortmund at the weekend in his first game in charge of Leipzig. Edin Terzic coming back in, who had been the coach initially on a caretaker basis a couple of seasons ago after Lucien Favre left the club. Internal appointment, Dortmund fan, likeable guy, had worked at West Ham before on the coaching staff, but a Dortmund person. And he had guided them to the Pokal, to the German Cup at the end of that season, and really had got them playing good football to make it into the Champions League, which was in some doubt. So with Terzic, we were looking for the brand of football he was going to play, and I couldn't really detect it early on. They were grinding their way to victories. They were managing to defend stoutly, but I thought at times, you know, it was too much of a close run thing. And then they ran into Werder Bremen, and, you know, the worst late collapse of any side, you would say, in Bundesliga history, if you want to look at the specific statistics. But, you know, to be leading 2-0, not playing well at home, with a few minutes to go, and then to lose 3-2. I mean, that's not really acceptable for any top side, and certainly not for Borussia Dortmund. And, you know, they keep kind of responding with wins, you know, that they've done that. But then, of course, at the weekend, they lost to Leipzig. So 6 matches played, 4 wins, 2 defeats. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's magnificent. And I think there are still building sites, if you like, within the Borussia Dortmund side. So I think it's maybe a long-winded way of saying they're still feeling their way. Maybe their best performance was actually in the Champions League just a few days ago. It seems like, you know, a couple of weeks ago now, given this crazy schedule that we're all on, but it was only just a few days ago against FC Copenhagen, and they won that game relatively comfortably, I thought. So we'll see. Obviously, Manchester City is a very different task in terms of the scale.
Thank you, Derek. And as you guys can see, we have been joined in the studio by Darius Vassell. He's joining me and Shaun for Matchday Live. Darius, first of all, welcome to Matchday Live. I've got to start with quickly, we have to play a game here. I've got a perfect game for you guys. We've been waiting for you to arrive, and it's a game of higher or lower because we have so many Manchester City players who've played in the Bundesliga. So the rules of the game are simple. I am going to say a player's name, and then you guys have to guess whether the next player has got a higher or lower number of appearances in the Bundesliga. So let's start with former Borussia Dortmund man Erling Haaland. He has 67 appearances. Now, I want to ask you, Shaun and Darius, do you think Kevin De Bruyne has a higher or lower number of appearances from Haaland 67?
We're a team.
We go together, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, my immediate guess would be higher.
You think it's higher?
I would, yeah.
We're going higher. We're going
See,
higher.
that's sensational. That's why we're waiting for you. You've got that spot on.
I said I can't play about my teammate.
that is a brilliant one.
Just a guess.
Sean did wait for you on this game because he knew that you were so knowledgeable, Darius. We now are going to go to our new goalkeeper, Ortega. Do you think he's got higher or lower appearances than Kevin De Bruyne's 85?
I've not an idea. It'll be a guess again.
I'm really. Well, your guess has been good, so we're going to go with your guess again.
Are we?
Which is my decision.
I'll go higher.
You're going to go higher, Sean? Are you
We're
happy
going
with that?
higher. Higher it is.
Unfortunately, Darius.
I wasn't sure.
Sean played it very safe there. I'm proud of it. I like the tactics.
Yeah.
Ortega actually only has 67 appearances in the Bundesliga, but now a former Manchester City player. I know how much we saw a picture of him before at the 6-1. Edin Dzeko has played in the Bundesliga. Do you think he has a higher or lower than 67 appearances? Darius is shaking his head already.
Lower.
Well, hey, listen. Can we phone a friend?
No, I would have thought higher. But
hold on.
I think we should go with your guesses.
You're my teammate. What's happening? I'm leftist. For you, I'm saying Darius knows.
Okay, right. Why do you think lower?
Why do it? Because I haven't followed Dzeko's career in terms of before City.
Yeah.
That's why.
I'm just thinking those first three are pretty level, aren't they? They're pretty even.
I think lower, personally.
We'll go with lower. We went with me last time. We'll go with you.
But you would have gone with higher,
I
is
would
that
have
what
gone
you're
with
saying?
higher, yeah.
So, Sean, you're happy to go with lower even though Darius wants to go?
Hey!
Well, the graphics ruined it for me there, but hey...
Teams don't play with two up top no more, innit?
I tried to build the suspense, but Dzeko, 111 appearances in the Bundesliga.
Wow.
What a baller, mate. Edin, we love you. Next, Akanji.
Sorry, Edin Dzeko. Really sorry about that, mate.
Higher or lower with Akanji?
How old is he? Is he?
I think he's...
Is he a young 20-year-old?
No, he's mid.
It's going to be close again, I bet, to Dzeko.
He's in his mid-20s.
Mid-20s. I'd say lower.
27.
You pull these games with me. I ain't got
Hang on.
Oh, I'm thinking... I don't know.
Hang on, the question is how many appearances?
Has he got higher or lower appearances than Edin Dzeko?
And I'm thinking higher, but I'm been on a bad run right now.
Yeah, I heard he was used as a substitute.
I'm going to need an answer from you, gents, I'm afraid.
What were you thinking?
I'm going to need an answer.
You've been right all this time.
Higher, yeah.
Higher. There you go, higher.
It was higher by 819. Now let's go to Didi Hamann. Has he got a higher or a lower appearance rate?
Definitely higher for me.
Definitely higher. We're confident.
We're going with higher, and the answer is... It's lower.
God, these are so close.
I tell you what, the producers are smart. We're making this game really, really close. Let's go to our club captain, İlkay Gündoğan, who's played a lot of games in the Bundesliga, but has he played more than Didi Hamann?
I would say, yeah.
I would say yes.
Yeah,
I think
so that's the first one.
We have a unanimous decision for the first time, and the answer for Gündoğan is... correct.
We're back in it.
Back in. And now we are going to a man who's got a very young photo in sky blue there, Jerome Boateng. Do you think he's higher or lower than 152 appearances?
It's going to be close again, isn't it?
It is. This is
difficult. That's going to be close.
It's going to be close, says Darius.
This is...
How close do you think it's going to be, Darius?
I think
look at the others.
I think it's within 10.
OK, you think it's within 10?
Yeah, but...
Can I get an answer from you, gents, please?
Right.
Do you think it's higher or lower?
This is just a guess, but I'm thinking lower.
OK, and I can reveal Jerome Boateng has made 314. I am so sorry.
That's the only team he played.
That is, he's been like an absolute fixture in the Bundesliga for a very, very long time. You can tell by how young he is. On the picture, let's go to Vincent Kompany.
Lower.
And straight away with a lower.
Lower.
So we have a unanimous, and the result of Vincent's spot on. Really, really
that is very low. I didn't think it'd be that low.
Extremely low. Lower than I thought, actually. But now we have to go to Leroy Sané.
Higher.
It's higher straight away. We're going with higher. I think you're right. You are 117. And then Uwe Rosler.
Oh, OK.
Good one, you know.
Is he higher or is he lower?
I think this is a tricky one. I think this could be higher. and we can't.
Yeah, I can go with that. I can go with higher.
We're going to go with higher than Leroy Sané.
Yeah.
Okay, this is to take it, because I've not been counting, so we'll just say if they get this right, they've won. Is Uwe Rosler higher or lower than Leroy Sané? He is lower. But you're both winners in my eyes anyway.
You've got to know exactly what he's done.
I was about to do a knee slide as well.
I hope you guys at home did slightly better than Darius and Shaun. Now, another City player with connections to today's opponents is midfielder Claudio Reyna. And, of course, he's played alongside a member of the Matchday Live studio, Darius Vassell. He made 87 appearances between 2003 and 2007, and his son Giovanni is one of the hottest talents in football today. What are your memories, Darius, of playing with?
Yeah, I think he was around for my whole spell at City when I was there, and getting to know him. Very respected by the team, but it's his football ability, which was the thing about him. He had the captain's mentality, and Shaun will relate to this. You're a striker, and then a certain player gets the ball for your team on the pitch, and then your eyes light up. You think something's going to happen.
Yeah.
He was one of those guys. So if he's coming short to receive it or going long, he's likely to find you. Great ability on the ball. Look, one touch pass in there. And then he's looking to find people.
Straight to Antoine Sibieski there.
He's running in behind as well. Hey, because he was a number 6. He was a holding player.
Does he get the goal?
And then a nice finish from him.
It's amazing because, you know, nowadays we see the number 6s are really intelligent players. Rodri, these guys they got degrees, and he went on to manage City FC in New York City FC. So, you know, he's got that intelligence. And speaking about how he played, you had to have that. You know, Pep Guardiola was another one that was like that sort of position.
Definitely. It suits Manchester City today. He's that sort of player. He's just like a talisman. Good on the ball, not over physical, but got all the ability to make up for it.
One thing I remember so much about Claudio Reyna is just the engine he had as well, Darius.
Yeah.
He covered a lot of grass, and that goal at Tottenham was a memorable one. You mentioned around the dressing room he was a leader.
Yeah.
An absolute leader. When you say he was a leader, he was a leader on the pitch and off the pitch?
Both, and it's the way he went about things, both on and off the pitch. He went about his business calm but precise. He was sharp in what he did, both on and off the pitch, and he was reliable as well. And if you want somebody to follow or look up to, those are the qualities that, you know, are going to get people following and get people looking up and admiring. So, and I remember him being captain for a number of games as well, and it doesn't surprise me he got picked to do that.
Now, let's talk about the growing influence of the US in English football, especially. I mean, because at the time it was Claudio Reyna. We had DeMarcus Beasley as well, if you guys remember. But, I mean, there's 7 US players now in the Premier League. We've also got Jesse Marsch there. Do you think players like Claudio Reyna are the reason that people are now choosing to play football a lot more and paving a way for a career in England?
I think they do. They've kick-started it off, players like Claudio, and I expect there to be more and more and more. The game's getting bigger, well, very big over there.
Yeah.
And they've got quality players, outstanding players, so I'd expect to see more, but I think Claudio could be considered as one of the lads or one of the guys that have kick-started that.
I think the name that's coming to mind, obviously he played for City, but it was Mark Dempsey. I think he was a big name from America. So they had sort of drips of players throughout the years. But in America, I think the athletic player, they certainly had the athleticism. But Claudio Reyna was one of those that had a bit more sort of intelligence, yeah.
It's just an absolute pleasure. I mean, I remember growing up, he was very much my era, as were you guys. It was an absolute pleasure to watch him. Now, speaking of pleasure to watch, earlier in the show, Derek spoke about one man, Erling Haaland, our number 9. And now we've got an absolutely phenomenal stat for you guys who are watching. His record in the Champions League, he is the fastest to 25 UCL goals in the Champions League. We can see him, as always, ready for work, so to speak, and looking super, super calm. His record in 25 goals in 20 Champions League games have to come to you, Shaun. That's unmatched. That's incredible.
It is, and the reason you probably stumbled there is because normally people have 20 goals and 25 goals in 25, and he just flipped it on his head. You know, as a striker, you were like, if I got 1 and 2, I've got decent ratio, I've got decent numbers. He's flipped it and going, no, I'm more than a game or goal. You know, he's absolutely phenomenal, and in the City team, the way they create chances, he could go on to continue this. He's phenomenal because he feels it, he can smell it, he could sense and sniff out opportunities, and City's a team that create them. I just think it's an unbelievable sort of stat at the highest level. He's scoring against the best teams, best defenders. He rose up, and what I love about him, when you see him warm up, there's a seriousness about him. When we see him walk off the coach, there's a bit of a smile, but then when he's on that pitch, I was just always smiling, but he's on that pitch and he's like, it's about business.
Yes. It's just every attacking player's dream to play alongside him, Darius.
I would say great to have a player like that in your team. It frees everybody up because you know you've got a chance. And the other thing that I've noticed with him is one goal isn't enough. Like, he'll score his goal, it is business as usual, but he's out, he's looking for his next one straight away. And it's a great mentality for a striker, and young kids need to look up to that, because I feel like we've been almost missing that at City a little bit. As great as the players have been, we've missed that guy, haven't we? That's going to put everything away that goes his way.
We can see on the screen now the most goals in the first 20 UCL games. This man is just incredible. He's absolutely clear of Ruud van Nistelrooy, who scored 16, Roberto Soldado, and we've got Harry Kane, and then we've got a little revolver there because there's 3 players who are on 14, and that's Del Piero, Shevchenko and Litmanen. Now, these players that are getting mentioned are incredible. This man is just on track to smash every single record.
I mean, he's really saying you can call it records, Haaland, because he's just going to smash these records. And you're named off some quality centre forwards there. I see Van Nistelrooy was 16. It was a quality centre forward. He's done him, and how young he is. He's
There's
just
more to come.
Add numbers. He's just going to add numbers. It's absolutely frightening.
It is absolutely frightening. But how much do records as a striker, it might be a bit of a naive question from me, but how much do records play on your mind? Because Darius said he wants a goal, he gets a goal, but he's never happy. Do you think in the back of his mind he's got all of these records? Or do you think this is just, I want to score as many as I can in this game and then move on to the next one?
I think he's aware of this record. I think I was one in terms of I know how many goals I had, per season or what goals I set. But I think he's very aware of this, and I think he wants to just blow that whole thing right out. So when you name off these top world-class centre forwards back in the days of Shevchenko and Van Nistelrooy, and then you look at his numbers and say, well, he's doubled it, or he's tripled it, or quadrupled it. That's the numbers he will have at the end of his career, and that would just say, like, there's those players, and then there's him. That it's just unbelievable, what he's achieved so early.
And Darius, playing alongside strikers, I mean, you played alongside some great strikers in your time. Like, someone like Haaland, does he improve the players around him as well, just by sort of his movement? And obviously, it's very much a stat sort of thing, where if you're a forward player, you want to get your goals, you want to get your assists. He makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, certainly. As I said earlier, it frees everybody up a little bit. And when you're playing with freedom in a team like City's, you're going to have more opportunities yourself. When you've got a striker who gets so many shots and chances at goal, you all know, follow up your chances, you might get a chance yourself. It's like a magnet. You become a magnet to the penalty area, to goals. It's always great to have a player like that in your team. You might not score in the game, but you go out on the pitch with a feeling that you're going to win, you've got every chance of winning. And that freedom for other players might be the difference sometimes.
I wouldn't say that he improves the team, but what I would say is an added value, because we see that he needs a half a chance and he puts it away. He's quality. He's that focal point that the club have now. Before it was this false nine, and City will, if it wasn't quite on, they'd move around. It'd be 15, 20 more passes until that right option came, and then it'd be threaded through. He's a sort of player, they've got a number of passes. Mahrez will get his head up, or Grealish will get his head up and think, oh, it's on, or De Bruyne, I could deliver it. So he's added value where they wouldn't circulate it, getting 70 passes. They'll think, all right, it's on, they could deliver it. So I think it's a great balance, because we're slightly adjusted to the quality of what he brings to the team as well.
We did hear from Derek Ray a little bit earlier, and he said there was sometimes a little bit too much reliant on Haaland, at Dortmund, at his time in Germany. I feel like he fits his team like a glove, because we've had moments where people have spoke about how little touches he's had, but it doesn't really matter, does it, Darius?
When you got that much quality and you're on that much of form, no, it doesn't. But I do prefer City when they do use him in the build-up. I do prefer City when they do look, as Shaun says, as they're passing the ball from one side of the pitch to the other, if they see they can slide him in. I like the look of City when they do that. I think he's a player who, as much as he scores goals, he does want to be involved as well. So we'll see how it goes today, but I'd like to see him with more touches on the ball.
Yeah, of course. We will come back for our predictions, but we are going to throw live to pitchside with Alistair Mann and Michael Brown with their thoughts ahead of tonight's game.
Yeah, thanks, FG. It's one of those evenings where you just feel as though it's going to be an entertaining battle. Two teams who seem to play the game the right way, who both like to score goals. Alongside me, as I say, Michael Brown, who's co-commentating with me this evening. A big victory last week against Sevilla. I think many people feel that Borussia Dortmund and Sevilla are the two teams who are going to rival City for top spot. Do you see this as, therefore, as an even more significant game?
That's another big game, Champions League. This is what we've been waiting for this season, especially looking at the signings in the summer, etc. So it was a huge win in match day one. It was a top performance, a real professional one, creativity, and ultimately as well, after that, you'd sort of say, well, not conceding was a slight worry as well. So, no, listen, it's an important game. It will give you a real good start, obviously, getting a result here today.
Of course, you can't get away from the Haaland subplot in all of this. I guess it was inevitable that he would get drawn against Dortmund in the Champions League, and so it's proven to be. I watched the Bayern Munich-Barcelona game last evening, and Robert Lewandowski came back, of course, in a similar circumstance against Bayern Munich, and he actually seemed to try too hard and missed an absolute sitter in the first half. Do you see that kind of thing maybe creeping in?
Listen, firstly, you'd be delighted with the draw to go and play against your former teammates, a team that have kicked you on to another level. He'll want to score. We know how ruthless he is, and he'll be just looking forward to enjoying the evening, trying to do well again for Manchester City, trying to increase that goal tally that he's got so far. And I just think it's a really nice one that you want to sort of get out the way so quickly in his Manchester City career, but he'll do well.
Well, of course, there's three former Borussia Dortmund players in the City lineup, just to add to the intrigue in this game. Just interesting, one little team selection that Borussia Dortmund have made, bringing in the experienced Hummels instead of the more youthful Schlotterbeck tonight. Do you think they're kind of focusing on how to stop Haaland?
Exactly, you're looking at that straight away, and we're wondering why they made that change. And sometimes, I was asked this earlier today, actually, is... do you know a player that you've played against? Do you realise which way he's going to go, which way you're going to turn? And sometimes you can do that, and you have that sort of the making of somebody. But this where City are really, really good is that the runs in behind him from wide areas, whether it be Grealish, whether it be Riyad Mahrez, deep Kevin De Bruyne. So then the foil comes in, and ultimately the centre-half, whoever you've got, has to step in, do something different, and that's where City will make it difficult tonight for them.
Just got one final question, and that is, do you feel this is a game with goals this evening?
Certainly hope so. We want that sort of entertainment, and hopefully it's a lot of goals for Manchester City. You fancied a load of goals, so let's see how that goes. But I just take a win, another progression, slightly boring from me, but I want to see a clean sheet ideally.
OK, well, myself and Michael bringing you the commentary. Don't forget to download the app. We'll bring you blow by blow as this game unfolds. Let's go back to the studio where FG's with Darius, Vassell and Shaun Gota.
Thank you, Alistair. Thank you, Michael. Great insight, actually, where they said that Hummels was starting for experience. Experience is surely really important in this.
Yes, it is, and he'll know him as well. And as a centre-half, he's a very experienced player. He'll know that the spaces in behind, and he'll know you'll see him use his body, because he wouldn't be able to match him, pace for pace. But experienced centre-halves, they know when to use their body. As soon as he sees him running in behind, he'll sort of try to get his body across him to just make it difficult. But I think Haaland will just be too much. He'll be up for this one. I hope he's not over sort of trying, but I think he'll be too much. He'll be too much for the defence.
Darius, I have to ask you as well, your predictions for the game. We're coming so close to kick-off. Kick-off is so near. What is your predictions for the game today?
I'm confident in the win today, and I know you probably expect me to say that, but I just think City are really strong, especially at home. They've got a striker in top form. I can't see anything other than the win. How they're going to win it, I'm not sure. Maybe a couple of goals, that would be nice. I do think they will have to concentrate. They might be vulnerable on the break. I've seen City be vulnerable at times on the break. If they can close that up, they've got enough quality in there to win the game.
Now, let's go over to you guys at home again. You've been sending in your WhatsApp questions. I've got a question for you both from Matt. Matt, thanks for sending in your question. It says, evening, gents. With all the hype around Haaland, do you think he could go on to beat Aguero's goal-scoring record? And can we have a prediction of how many goals he will score this season, Shaun?
Oh, I'll tell you what, brilliant question. I think my prediction... I was thinking about it, and I'm still sort of undecided on whether it's a 3-1 or 3-2 to City. I think they could be dynamic in terms of them counter-attacking, but I'm going to go 3-1. In terms of the Aguero situation, I think records are there to be broken. If he can have himself a career, and this is an early thing to really say, if he can have a career at City where he doesn't have injuries, I think he can get really close to that record.
Yeah.
And Darius.
Same question. Yeah, I completely agree. If he has as many appearances as Aguero, then yeah, I think he breaks the record. And to do that, he'll have to stay fit. So it depends how long he stays at City, but he's certainly breakable. It's certainly under the form he's under.
I wouldn't say certainly breakable because that's phenomenal stuff what Sergio did. But yeah, he's just been in such great form that you think it is very possible, and it's just down to if he can have a injury-free sort of career.
And he has a lot of time on his hands as well, because we forget how young he is. Now, thank you, Matt, for that question. Remember, you can send your questions in to us via the WhatsApp number. We've got another one for you. This one's a really good one, actually, from Mike. And he says, who would you two like to have on the wings alongside you out of all of the City players? We have Mahrez, Foden, Grealish, etc. That is a brilliant question. I mean, personally, I'd like every single one of them because they're all incredible. But if you had to choose two, we'll go to Darius.
He took my answer. I'll go first. This is a tough one, I have to say. But I had some similar attributes to Haaland. I was a goal scorer inside the box. Outside the box, I got a nosebleed. Didn't know what I was doing. But inside the box, I could sniff. And people that could deliver. Mahrez, he could deliver. De Bruyne as a midfielder. He could be in the stands, he still deliver. Grealish drives to the byline and does find players. I think, I don't know, it's Foden and Grealish. They got to be in my team.
Foden and Grealish.
It's good you said that, because I would say Mahrez. And my reason is similar. I just feel like he can cut in, he can go down the line, and that's what I'd be looking for in the box. Which one are you going to do? And then I'll be trying to free myself up after he's made that decision. It's not that the others wouldn't do that. I just see Mahrez as somebody I could click with.
Are we going to count Alvarez in this conversation, Mike? You'll probably have to text in again and let us know. That is an unbelievable question, by the way. You've set the bar really high. Alvarez as well could be one, potentially. Plays on the wing. We are so blessed with these wingers. We've got Palmer. We've got other players. Look at them. They just... it's very, very difficult.
Yeah, well, you're just talking about Alvarez. I really like what I've seen with him. Typical Argentine, the energy, the tenacity, but then the quality. Yeah. The quality that he also brings. And I think you're talking about a complete player. That's what you're wanting. Like, in possession, you're wanting quality. Out of possession, he's able to be in people's faces. I'm really looking forward to seeing the stuff that he brings, because I love what he's... But this is the squad tonight. The boys are up for it. I'm loving that.
We are absolutely loving it, especially with the Champions League. We're also loving these questions. Dave has sent me one on WhatsApp, and he says, if Haaland helps City to win the league and or the Champions League, does that make him a guaranteed Ballon d'Or winner? Now, that is a very, very difficult question.
Guaranteed.
I think he gets a lot of votes. He gets a lot of votes.
I think he's got a great chance, hasn't he, if he does that, because that's not been done, has it? So I couldn't guarantee it, so I wouldn't feel right.
So I think if it's Champions League, you're more likely to win it than the league, Shaun?
I think so. I think he'll get him a lot of votes if that was the case. And again, I think, for me, I think he will potentially get it. Listen, at the end of the day, he's deserved, because if he's scoring the goals and continues to do what he's doing, it's no argument as to why someone else should, because he's producing ridiculous.
The only argument
numbers.
would be if somebody else scored more, and did they win, and then you're comparing those trophies. But I don't think you're beating the Champions League, are you, as a trophy?
We're talking about the Champions League a lot. By the way, shout out to you again, Dave. This is incredible. What about in a World Cup year when Haaland isn't going to the World Cup? Will that make a difference on the Ballon d'Or? Surely it has some impact.
Yes, it will do.
It depends for me what happens in the World Cup. So if somebody comes out the woodwork and they're on fire and on flames, then you've got to look at that, haven't you?
Well, I mean, that's a very good question, because you could have one of our players as playing for England, doing exceptionally well, wins the World Cup, and plays a part in City doing well, winning Champions League, and then all of a sudden, that's a conundrum. So I haven't answered your question. But that's a brilliant question.
Dave, I tried really hard to catch these two out, and there's absolutely no chance. Thank you for your questions. We will have some more questions later on in the show, so please fire them in. You can ask whatever you like to Darius and Shaun and me if you want to as well. So we'll come back to that at half-time. It is time to get your final thoughts before the game. I want some score predictions. I want who's going to score. I reckon, how the first half's going to go.
Well, that's the easy one in terms of who we're going to put down for scoring. I think Haaland, I haven't seen Mahrez deliver this ball that I think Haaland will get on. So I'm going to go a little bit stronger with regards to Mahrez getting on the ball, doing a loose step over or something, and delivering a quality, and Haaland, finding that yard where he just glances, he gets on the end of it and glances one. I'm going 3-1 City.
Darius is shaking his head.
No, because I was going to go exactly the same, and I don't like doing that. So I'm going to give the respect to the opposition and go 3-2. But I think City can get 3 goals here tonight in similar fashion as what Shaun says.
I'm going to back Michael Brown and say we're going to get that clean sheet. I have a feeling we're potentially going to get a clean sheet today. I'm going to go 2-0. Are we all going Haaland first goal scorer, or are we swapping it around? I'm going Haaland.
We've got the ghost of appearing at the far post, Gundogan, right? I think if we're scoring 2 goals, I would say that he'll definitely be within the first 2 goals. But we've got so many threats with our squad. It's a big deal to say to be the first goal scorer as well, as because if I'm them, I'm marking him and I'm thinking you're not getting an inch of space, and this is what could free up. Gundogan running through, De Bruyne running through, or even the wide players running off the line. So I would definitely say him to be one of the scorers within the first 2 goals that we score.
We can see the players are heading into the tunnel, so we are going to pass over to our commentary team, Alistair Mann and Michael Brown. Enjoy the first half, and we will see you at half-time.